Hello, it's Monday, February 1st. I'm Jason Stanton. I'm senior pastor here at First Lutheran in Onalaska. This is my morning musing for today. As we continue our way through the 21-day racial equity challenge at First Lutheran, that's what my musings continue to be centered around this week. And so today, the suggested thing to do is to check in with a blog that's online that speaks to the issue of microaggressions, which it's a lot like a lot of phrases and words that have been loaded with a lot of meaning and get talked about, I think, a lot by people who don't really understand what it's about. Kind of like the term white privilege, where people might pack that with meaning that nobody intends. I found this to be a helpful exercise to really think about microaggressions. I've heard some people, for example, say, well, someone doesn't feel good about something that was said to them. They just need to be less sensitive. And so I just wanted to talk about what do we mean by microaggression? What does that really give some examples? And then think about what does that feel like to myself and then on behalf of others. Each event, here's how it's defined by this blog. Each event, observation, and experience that's posted in this blog, he says, is not necessarily particularly striking in and of themselves. Often, these microaggressions are never meant to hurt, acts done with little conscious awareness of their meanings and effects. Instead, their slow accumulation during a childhood and over a lifetime is in part what defines a marginalized experience, making explanation and communication with someone who does not share this identity particularly difficult. Social others are microaggressed hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. And so this project at Fordham University aimed to highlight the daily microaggressions people encounter through user-submitted stories. And this blog, and you can find our whole list of these things on our website. Go to the 21-day racial equity challenge, go to February 1st, and you'll see how to find this. But this blog seeks to provide a visual representation of the everyday nature of microaggressions. This project is not about showing how ignorant people can be in order to simply dismiss their ignorance, because that's what can happen a lot. Isn't that just ridiculous that they said that? That kind of excuses it as an outlier. And a lot of the things on the blog are things I definitely have heard people say. I maybe have even said some of them before. And it's understanding, like, why is that an aggression, a microaggression? And so the explanation goes on. Instead, it's about showing how these comments create and enforce uncomfortable, violent, unsafe realities onto other people's workplace, school, childhood, public transportation, space, environments. Here's some examples. Can you imagine seeing someone, and I've heard people in my own friend groups and family groups wonder aloud about somebody, what are they? And of course, what we're wondering is, what ethnicities does that skin color or that facial shape or whatever represent? What are they? Asian, black, white, like those are the categories. What are they? Well, as this blog showed, I'm not a what. Just using that term what, not a great way to ask the question. Here's another one. Somebody says that this was said to them, you don't act like a normal black person. And of course that was intended probably to be a compliment of some kind. But the implicit assumption there is, because most people that look like you are awful, which wouldn't feel great, right? You don't act like a normal black person. Like there's like 10 things wrong with that all at once. Or here's one. So imagine seeing a picture of a college-age African-American young woman, and her sign that she's holding says, "A black girl that listens to Carrie Underwood." as though that's not possible, as though only white people get to listen to Carrie Underwood. I've actually heard this. There's an African-American country music singer from Columbia, South Carolina. He used to lead Hootie and the Blowfish, Darius Rucker. And I've heard him talk about how there's been plenty of white people in his experience who have confronted him with as though country music belongs to white people. One young black man in this blog project said, "I don't speak for every black person." Oftentimes that can be assumed of people, like, well, you're black, so what do black people think? And just imagine how that would feel if, well, you're a man, you're white, whatever it is, that very general category. It's almost like asking, I was asked once, I was at a youth gathering, and it was in Texas, and somebody said, "Oh, you're from Wisconsin. I know somebody from Wisconsin. Do you know them?" Like, it's not that small of a place. Another microaggression that was offered to someone: "You're really pretty for a dark-skinned girl." Obviously, that's a pretty backhanded compliment. Or maybe it's something more than that. I mean, that's just terrible. Or this was said to a black woman: "Why do you sound so white?" It's not great when people assume things about you that are negative. I've had people see, and maybe this is where we all try to resonate with, what would this feel like? Not that if any of us are white, and especially being a white male who's straight, I don't really have a lot of these experiences at all because I'm so very privileged in so many ways. The only way I could start to resonate is, I do wear a collar, and I wear it in public oftentimes. I've seen people, I've had people see my pastoral collar and assume I'm judging them, because that's what pastors do. I'm judging them for not being a consistent churchgoer. Maybe I'm judging their language. Maybe I'm judging whether or not they're worthy of heaven or hell. They might assume I'm a jerk, self-righteous, or whatever, because that's their experience of some other clergy person. And that's not great. But as I think about, I know kind of what that's like. I don't know what that's like to have microaggressions my whole life, because I can take my collar off. And it's just my vocation. And I chose to be a pastor. To have stuff said at me because of my skin color or my ethnicity, it's a level of aggression, a personal level, that's deeper than anything I can start to resonate with. And so as I consider what microaggressions mean and how they would accumulate, like water torture, I simply listen to their experience, that it may affect not only how I talk to my neighbor, but how fellow white people, when we talk amongst ourselves, if I get this microaggression stuff better, I can encourage my own fellow white people to be more thoughtful too. We shouldn't among ourselves ask questions like, "What do you think they are?" So we continue to ask these questions and to learn more, to keep faith alive.